All right, folks, the 2025 Survivor Series pay-per-view War Games from San Diego is in the history books. There were 4 matches on the show. I'm going to go ahead and give you my thoughts on these 4 matches on the show overall. Overall, solid show. I would put it probably around the same level as last year's. Not as good as the year before, but I thought it was very well done, and it really is starting to show what the company's future is. This show really highlighted the who the company really sees as its future, and we're going to talk about that as we go forward here. So they opened the show with the women's War Games match, and I want to give you a criticism that I've actually had since the Vince McMahon era when it comes to a lot of WWE. They did it mostly in the women's War Games match, a little bit in the men's War Games match, but really it was mostly in the women's War Games match. I don't like when there's a War Games and one of the wrestlers is coming out and they pose in front of the camera. Your team is in the ring getting beaten up. They're getting slaughtered. And more than once, they had a situation where somebody would come out, do a little pose, showboat for the camera, and then get into the ring. Now, if heels do that, okay. But when a babyface does it, I think it's pretty damn stupid. And it just takes away from the immersion of the match. I did not like that, and like I said, it's happened a few times. So the match in question was Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, AJ Lee, Alexa Bliss, and Charlotte Flair against Asuka, Kairi Sane, Nia Jax, Lash Legend, and Becky Lynch. So when I was saying earlier about who WWE is deciding to push for the future, there's no question that when it comes to the women's match, Lash Legend has a lot of momentum behind her. Now, I'll be honest, she didn't look all that impressive in this match, although they were trying to do that. But you could tell that just putting her in this women's War Games match, just having her go from NXT to essentially the co-main event of Survivor Series was a big deal, and she got enough hope spots. Well, not hope spots, but enough like awesome power spots. I didn't mean to say hope spots to really cement the fact that she has a future. So that was cool. Obviously, Rhea Ripley, the most popular wrestler in this match, alongside AJ Lee. AJ Lee was the one that scored the victory via submission, and that to me just sets up that AJ Lee is likely going to continue feuding with Becky Lynch in the future. And that's after Becky Lynch got hit with multiple finishers, ending with the Black Widow. So this feud is far from over. And we'll talk more about Seth Rollins later on. But the match I thought was okay. I remember last year's women's War Games being a cluster muck. It wasn't that good. This one was a tiny bit better. Actually, probably a lot better. I think 2 years ago, the women's War Games match was phenomenal. I love that one. This one, again, not as good as the one from 2 years ago, but an improvement over last year. There was just too much. There was too many times in this match where there was like posing from the baby faces, and you can pose after you win. This is supposed to be war. Maybe y'all don't agree with me, but it's weird. It's weird. Plus, I do feel like the match, again, decent, not great, not good, not great. Not much happened in the first, half of the match, maybe the first, 2/3 of the match. Io Sky was kind of the MVP here. And then they did the whole thing where the baby faces had the advantage. And that's always like weird psychology. So it is what it is. Then we had John Cena's final PLE match ever, his final pay-per-view match. John Cena defending the Intercontinental title against Dominik Mysterio. I think most people knew that Dominik would be taking the title back here. It only makes sense. But what was interesting is the way they did it. The match they had, I thought, on Raw a couple weeks ago was probably better than this one. What happened at one point in the match is Dominik goes for like a Hurricane Rana and ends up landing on his shoulder. And it actually looked really bad. Like, if you look at it, right, it looked like he landed on his shoulder hard and that he was hurt. And they made it seem, with the referee coming out, they made it seem like he was actually injured. He started calling people back, and, Cena was sort of put back in the ring, and they really made it seem like something happened that wasn't supposed to happen. Then what happened, which kind of made me laugh, is Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez get in the ring and start doing spots on Cena. And then Dominik gets up and runs in. So it turns out the whole thing was just a ruse to try to get one over on John Cena, but he doesn't get the job done, only gets a 2 count. Well, actually, that's not, no. That was, no. He hit the 619, a frog splash, but the referee did not count because he was fooled. So it wasn't a 2 count. He was fooled. And then what happened was he kicked Raquel and Roxanne out, and then came the big shocker, and that was the return of Liv Morgan, who we haven't seen in a while. She comes out and sort of pretends like she's mad at Dominik and smacks him, and then jumps on John Cena. And what they did was they basically did the swerve that they did with Cody and Cena at Elimination Chamber back in March 1st, and they zoomed in on her eyes. She hit Cena in the nuts, and then there was a belt shot, and then Dominik hit the 619, the frog splash, and got the 1-2-3, and got his title back, and Liv Morgan is back with Dominik Mysterio. So that's a big, big win. I wonder if they're still going to do that love triangle story between Liv and Roxanne and Dominik. They seem to have been kind of staying away from that. But now that she's back, maybe they can do it. Cena, of course, soaked in the adulation from the crowd. He thanked the crowd. Again, okay match. The crowd was into it. Not as good as the one they had on TV, but decent. And for it being Cena's last pay-per-view match, I thought it was fine, but there could have been a lot more they could have done to make it better. Then we had Stephanie Valkyrie defending the women's world title against Nikki Bella. A decent match again, nothing too over the top, not a lot of heat with it. Kind of felt like a Raw match. The highlight of the match was that Valkyrie did that devil's kiss move where she bounces her ass up and down. She did that on the table. And that was that got a big pop from everybody I was hanging out with and from people, in the building. Wade Barrett even says, he had the best. He said that Michael Cole had the best view in the house. It was right there. So Valkyrie finished it with a move that looks a lot like AJ Styles' spiral tap. Got the 1-2-3, 12-minute match. Nothing too extraordinary, but you know what, man? Nikki Bella is not a full-time wrestler, so it's just a win. It's just a win for Stephanie Valkyrie. Then we have the men's War Games match. Cody Rhodes, the WWE champion, the world champion CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and the Usos against Brock Lesnar, Drew McIntyre, Logan Paul, Braun Breaker, and Bronson Reed. So the entries were very interesting. CM Punk was the first guy in for the babyface team, and Braun Breaker was the first guy in for the heels. Then in comes Drew McIntyre, and then after that, I was expecting to be one of the Usos, but it was Cody. So the two world champions opened this War Games. There was a report that there was some kind of creative shuffling going on earlier today that they couldn't figure out the order, but I think this made sense. Even though it's weird to have the two world champions opening this. So after that, what wound up happening was Logan Paul came in, bringing in chairs, and then Jimmy Uso came in, bringing a table in. So they were setting everything up. They were doing some spots here and there. Bronson Reed went in. Then after Bronson Reed, Jey Uso went in. Now, there was a moment in this match that I was really annoyed by. Jey Uso calls for the encore. They play his music again, and he gets on top of the cage and starts doing the up and down bounce. Dude, again, this is War Games. You can't just stop a War Games to have a little bouncing session with the audience. Now, I was very pissed off because the match was going so well. It was so good, and then Jey Uso does this. I thought it was stupid. However, in the back of my head, I'm thinking this could actually lead to a pretty interesting storyline because Roman or Cody or Punk could blame Jey Uso for them losing because of the clown show that Jey Uso was doing by hanging out with the fans in the middle of the match. Like, it was so dumb, man. Like, no, like, just, I know people want to see that. Just don't do it on this show. It's one show. Like, annoying, man. Annoying. The match lost so much heat with them doing that. But then Jay's music got cut off with Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar came out, hit everybody with F5s and suplexes. Then Roman Reigns came out, and then Brock went to go meet him in the aisleway. And I love this. This was like, the old, rivalry. Remember, Brock and Roman have been feuding for 10 years now, main event in 3 WrestleManias. These guys know each other very well. They're brawling at ringside. Roman hit him with some Superman punches. Brock did the F5 on a table. And then they get into the ring, and then boom, War Games begin. So they're going at it. At one point, Paul Heyman gives Logan Paul the knucks. They end up on Roman's hand. And then he does those big Superman punches with the knucks. That was pretty awesome. Some big spears coming in. Then something interesting happened. A mystery man jumped in the ring wearing all black with a hood covering his face. You couldn't tell who he was. He hits a side kick, like a super side kick, and a curb stomp. And people believe, or were meant to believe, it was Seth Rollins. But it couldn't be Seth Rollins because he just had a shoulder injury and he's not scheduled to come back until next year. So it's obviously not Seth Rollins. It's somebody else. It could be Theory or somebody else they're planning to bring up. Or maybe in storyline, it was Seth Rollins, but another wrestler was playing the character of Seth Rollins because they don't want to give away that Seth is still hurt. I don't know. But I like it. This is the kind of stuff I like, where you've got fans now asking questions. And this is going to be a big storyline going forward. Who was the Man in Black? Who was the mystery man? Was it Seth Rollins in kayfabe? Was it somebody else pretending to be Seth Rollins? That's a huge thing. So when that curb stomp was hit on Punk, then Bron Breakker hauls off and spears Punk and pins him 1, 2, 3. Bron Breakker just got a pinfall victory over the heavyweight champion of the world. Bron Breakker, the youngest man, the only guy in this match in his 20s is Bron Breakker, Bronson Steiner, and he got the 1, 2, 3 on CM Punk, the world champion. I hope you know what that means. Like I said about Lash Legend being in a War Games match right off of NXT, that is huge for her. And when it comes to Bron Breakker, this pinfall victory to win War Games for his team was massive. This is a big deal, ladies and gentlemen. Bron Breakker, without question, is being groomed. And yes, that's the word that's used in the business. No, it doesn't mean anything sexual. He's being prepared for and groomed to be a main eventer. And him pinning CM Punk is just the next, the next journey for him. Huge victory for the heels. They won. And basically, after the match ended, they did this thing where Roman Reigns and Cody were like talking, and it looked like Roman had told him it's the last time that we're going to team together. And it was basically Punk, Roman, and Cody just kind of staring at each other. So that was that. So the show was all right. Like, it's a decent show. I would say you don't even have to watch the Cena match. Maybe just get the finish if you don't want to watch it through the whole match. But the men's War Games match was good, so I would suggest watching that. The rest of the show, take it or leave it. It wasn't even that long of a show, really. About 3 hours and maybe 3 hours and like 30 minutes, maybe less than that. It wasn't very long, so it wasn't like one of those crazy AEW shows that goes on forever. But, for that $30 price tag on ESPN, dude, just get a VPN. Use Netflix, get a VPN, and just watch it that way. It's cheaper. It's a smarter idea. Like Stephanie McMahon said, it's better. Anyways, y'all, that's going to do it for me. Thumbs in the middle, slightly up for this pay-per-view. Again, watch what I told you to watch. And really, the rise of Bron Breakker is going to be something to witness in the next few months. I think he'll be world champion by WrestleMania. That's my guess. Have a good one. See you soon.